was recently remodeling a house and it came with a wood burning stove, which I wanted to keep, but the tile underneath, oh well, you can see it's not in very good condition. Several tiles came loose and one of them was cracked. My intention was to save the existing tile, glue it back, regrout it, and fix the cracked tile. I'm Tiffany, and I really thought I could pull this off. So I started by grinding down the excess of the old mortar. Mortar. I always have trouble pronouncing that word. Don't judge me, I have a little bit of an accent. I started by grinding down the excess of the old mortar until it felt pretty flat. This is pretty dusty, so when you do this, make sure you have a dust mask. I put new floors in before I started working on this, so I covered everything around the fireplace area because this is pretty messy. I swept all the dust and then I applied mortar where the missing tile was, and I used the trowel to spread it. It was kind of tricky because I was trying to work around the other tiles. I did the same for the cracked tile, but the pieces were not lining up and I was struggling a little bit. I sliced my finger open on the edge of the tile, so I recommend wearing gloves. After I tried everything to get the cracked pieces to line up, the left part had a lip, so my solution was to put weight on it overnight. The next day, there was a visible lip, but I was determined to make this crack look invisible, so I bought a kit that would let me mix the colors of the tiles and fill in the crack. Ouch! Ow! Follow the instructions. I did 3 coats of this, but after the 3rd time, I was like, I give up. That actually felt pretty good. It was not happening. It looked worse than when it was cracked. At this point, I was really frustrated and I didn't want to remove all the tiles and start the process over because it will make a huge mess. So I decided to lay tile on top. So I went to my local Lowe's to pick up some mosaic tile. Nah. You know what I need? What? A cart. I forgot the cart. Sorry. I also had to pick up some grout. I could have not put this any higher. For the grout, I'm using Makeover silver grout unsanded, but I should have gotten the sanded instead. I learned that sanded grout works better on bigger gaps and is less likely to crack in the future. I haven't even started and look how my hands look already. This is gonna get messy. I also picked up some Loctite glue, which can be used to glue tile. I asked my editor to come record me while I shop, and she prefers to be paid in candy, so don't forget to hit the like button to feed the editor. Now that we have all the materials, I can get to work. I started to fit all the tiles around the wood stove before I glued them. I picked this type of tile because it would be easy to cut around the legs of the wood stove. I did all the cuts using a wet saw. To lay the tiles, I spread the glue in a swirl on the back of each tile. I made sure to cover the entire thing. I put pressure down on each tile after I glue it to make sure it's secure. And then I let it dry for 24 hours before starting on the grout. Unfortunately, I didn't record the process of doing the trim around the pad, but I used wood decorative trim and I cut it to size to go around the pad, and I painted it to match the grout color. To secure it in place, I used the same Loctite glue that I used on the tile. I followed the instructions for mixing the grout and I used the float to spread it. I made a mistake. I didn't get enough grout. I ran out of grout before I could finish. So I had to pick up grout again to do a second coat the next day to cover the spots that I didn't cover on the first round. After I finished grouting, I filled a bucket of water and I took a wet sponge and started to wipe away the excess grout. This took a lot more work than I thought and more time. Some parts started to dry, so it became harder to remove the excess grout. I also want to mention that when you're wiping the grout, the bucket of water gets dirty really quickly, so you have to continuously change the water out. I think this is why it took me so long. I did like 3 rounds of wiping out the grout. Even though this project didn't go as planned and I had multiple setbacks, I think it came out pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like DIY projects like this, consider subscribing. I have lots more projects coming up and I'll be making more of these videos.